Kamunyak the Lioness. In Kenya's Samburu National Reserve, a young lioness, healthy, hungry, in full hunting condition, was found sleeping beside a 2-day-old oryx calf, positioned between it and every threat nearby. The oryx is exactly the kind of animal a lioness is built to hunt down, not guard. Between 2001 and 2003, Kamunyak adopted 6 different oryx calves. Not once, 6 times. She drove off hyenas, cheetahs, and even lions from her own pride to protect them. Sometimes she let the calves' real mothers approach to nurse, then calmly resumed guard duty once they'd finished. Her territory spanned roughly 15 square miles of dry scrubland, and she walked past viable prey every single day of those adoptions. One calf stayed with her for 15 days, another for 60, until a male lion took it while she slept. She simply found another calf and started over. Kenya Wildlife Service researchers examined her repeatedly and found nothing wrong with her physically. Most people assume an animal behaving this way must be sick or broken somewhere. The veterinary record said otherwise. Somewhere in the biology of a predator that can kill in under 15 minutes, a completely different circuit fired, and nature had nothing to say about it. She vanished from Samburu in 2004. Nobody has seen her since.
Tai the dolphin. Off Rangiroa Atoll in French Polynesia in 2014, a bottlenose dolphin named Tai was photographed swimming with 2 calves. Only one was hers. The other was a melon-headed whale calf, a species distant enough in body shape, social structure, and vocal sound that the pairing caught researchers completely off guard. Tai was already nursing her own newborn when the orphan appeared. She started nursing both simultaneously. The whale calf integrated completely, surfacing the way dolphins do, picking up their social cues, staying at Tai's side for 3.5 years until it was fully weaned. It surfed boat wakes like a dolphin. It never seemed to know it was supposed to be a whale. Researcher Pamela Carzon documented the case and published the findings in the journal Ethology in 2019. The likely explanation? A surge of maternal hormones in Tai, arriving at the exact moment an orphan needed somewhere to belong. And the calf's own drive to attach did the rest. It's the first fully documented complete adoption between 2 distinct marine mammal species. For a dolphin, that's roughly the equivalent of finding a stray kid at the mall and just keeping him. The bald eagle's nest hawk. At a migratory bird sanctuary on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, a pair of bald eagles raised 3 chicks in one nest. 2 were eagles. One was a red-tailed hawk, and it had no idea. Bald eagles are among the most effective aerial predators in North America. Red-tailed hawks are, in most circumstances, something they eat. Here's what researchers believe happened. An adult eagle dropped the hawk chick into the nest, intending to feed it to the eaglets. But the moment it started begging for food the way any nestling does, the adult simply began feeding it instead. The feeding instinct in raptors doesn't check species. It checks behavior. If it begs like a chick, it gets fed like one. It's the same hardwired reflex that makes eagles such efficient killers, just aimed in the wrong direction. Turns out, the apex predator has a software vulnerability, and that vulnerability is a small bird with its mouth open. The hawk fledged successfully. Mixed raptor adoptions like this one have since been documented a handful of times across British Columbia and California. The Gir Lioness. In December 2018, forest rangers in Gir National Forest, Gujarat, India, documented something never recorded before. A wild Asiatic lioness nursing a 2-month-old leopard cub alongside her own biological cubs. Gir is the only place on Earth where Asiatic lions and Indian leopards share territory this closely, and the 2 species compete directly for prey and land. A leopard cub should read to a lioness as competition, not as something worth protecting. Whatever happened in that lioness's brain, it overrode the competitive signal entirely. The cub nursed. It was groomed. It played with the lion cubs, while Gujarat Forest Department rangers tracked it across multiple weeks. Leopard cubs that lose their mother this young have a survival rate approaching 0. This one found a lioness instead and stayed healthy throughout the entire observation period. It's the only ecosystem on Earth where a leopard's natural rival is also its only available surrogate. Eventually, the cub moved out of camera range, and the trail went cold. This is the second time a lioness looked at something she was built to compete with and chose something else entirely. The Capuchin Monkey. Near Gurupi, in the Brazilian state of Piauí, researchers studying a group of 13 bearded Capuchin monkeys in 2004 observed something that needed a new category: an infant common marmoset, alone, riding on a capuchin's back. Capuchins are documented predators of marmosets. This one was prey, being carried like family. An adult female began nursing it. When she cycled out of caregiving, a second female took over. The marmoset spent months fully integrated, learning Capuchin vocalizations, following Capuchin hierarchy, responding to Capuchin threat calls. It had no reference point left for its own species. Its natural home range would normally span a small radius. This one kept pace with a troop covering territory 5 to 6 times that size, every single day. The group was well fed throughout the study, not nutritionally stressed. A hungry Capuchin troop eats a marmoset. A satisfied one, apparently, raises it. A marmoset riding on a Capuchin's back is roughly the visual equivalent of a Chihuahua carrying a golden retriever puppy, except the golden retriever was also what the Chihuahua was supposed to be eating. The marmoset survived. The Capuchins never touched it. The Beluga pod's Narwhal. In 2016, a narwhal turned up in Canada's St. Lawrence River, more than 1,000 miles south of its Arctic range, and joined a pod of young male belugas. It wasn't chased off, it wasn't ignored, it swam in formation, surfaced in sync, rubbed bodies with the pod, and played in patterns that matched the group exactly. The Group for Research and Education on Marine Mammals filmed the same narwhal with the same pod again in 2017, and again in 2018. 3 years. Scientific director Robert Michaud described it simply: it behaves like it's one of the boys. Belugas and narwhals share a common ancestor from roughly 5 million years ago. Since then, different calls, different habitats, different social worlds. This narwhal crossed that 5 million year gap and was accepted into a beluga bachelor pod within a single season. It also carries a 9-foot tusk, which is not standard beluga pod equipment, and nobody seems to have minded. Nobody knows why it came or whether it ever left. Sædis the Orca. Off the coast of Iceland in 2021, a female orca named Sædis was observed swimming in the echelon position with a calf, the posture a mother orca uses to carry her infant in the pressure wave off her own body, cutting the calf's energy cost by up to 60%. The calf beside her had no white eye patch. It was a long-finned pilot whale. Orcas hunt pilot whales. Researchers published the case in the Canadian Journal of Zoology in February 2023, the first documented instance of an orca caring for the offspring of another species. They used the word adoption with what amounts to a professionally maintained question mark because they couldn't confirm whether Sædis found the calf already orphaned or separated it from its pod herself. The following season, Sædis was alone. What happened to the pilot whale calf was never determined. She either protected something she was built to hunt or hunted something and couldn't stop caring for it afterward. The line between those two isn't as clean as we'd like it to be. The southern right whale. In November 2022, drone photographer Jess Walling, filming off Esperance in Western Australia, captured an adult southern right whale swimming in sustained body contact with a juvenile humpback whale, the kind of closeness normally reserved for a mother and her own calf. The humpback appeared separated from its mother during migration. Southern right whales and humpbacks don't share migration corridors. Their calls are entirely different. This one stayed anyway. A southern right whale's hearing range can pick up signals from tens of miles across open ocean. Researchers believe this female may have been in an extended state of searching, possibly bereaved, when she picked up a distress call that wasn't hers to answer and responded before any species check could happen. Scientists described it as possibly the first documented case of baleen whale surrogate care crossing species lines, while noting they couldn't fully classify it, a reasonable position for 250 tons of whale doing something nobody had a framework for. From above, she dwarfed the humpback calf so completely it looked like a decoration beside her. The pair was tracked by drone, then lost to open water. The spider monkey. In the Amazon basin, black spider monkeys and black howler monkeys share the same canopy and occasionally compete for the same fruit trees, but little else. Researchers documented a female spider monkey carrying, grooming, and defending an infant howler monkey as her own. A lone howler infant relies on loud calls for defense, calls that also tend to attract predators when there's no parent around to back them up. The spider monkey carried the infant across full canopy transit, arm over arm, 60 feet above the forest floor, at a pace that matched her troop's normal movement. Researchers believe she responded to the infant's distress call before she ever had the chance to visually identify its species. Primate distress signals tend to cross species lines easily. The howler's best evolutionary strategy has always been to be as loud as possible. Its actual survival on this day depended on being carried in total silence by something else's mother.
Legadema the Leopard. In Botswana's Okavango Delta, a young leopard named Legadema hunted and killed a baboon. The baboon was carrying an infant, no more than a day old, eyes barely open, unable to regulate its own temperature, weighing less than the kill Legadema had just made. She pulled the infant from its dead mother. She carried it into a tree. She spent the entire night grooming it and holding it. And when hyenas arrived below to investigate the carcass she left on the ground, she moved the infant to safety instead of defending her meal. She abandoned food that was already hers, already dead, to protect something that could give her nothing back. Documentary crews filming Legadema's life for National Geographic captured the whole night. By morning, the infant had died. Too young to survive without its mother's warmth and milk, and leopards, obviously, can't provide either. Behavioral ecologists point to infant distress signals, the visual and auditory cues of a helpless newborn, as one of the strongest known inhibitors of predatory response across mammals. The reputation predators have for being emotionally blank comes from how we film them, not from what they're capable of. Legadema didn't hunt the infant. That's not a metaphor. She left food on the ground to protect it. Every circuit in her brain should have said prey. For one night in the Okavango, none of them did. What Kamunyak did 6 times across 3 years, what Legadema did in a single night. The moment a brain built entirely for survival runs into something helpless enough, it hits a switch nobody installed on purpose. We've spent 50 years studying it. We still haven't explained it. If you want more of these, subscribe. I post deep dives like this every week.